Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode. I am Moli, journalist and writer, and this is Talk on Talk. This Wednesday selection is dedicated to music and reflection on Kali Uchis. Red Moon in Venus, the third studio album by the cheerfully bilingual Colombian-American songwriters Kali Uchis, moves between sensual romance and fierce recriminations. The New York Times. Kali Uchis is the sultry billion R&B needs right now. Complex. Red Moon drives with pleasure, pain, and everything in between, showing just what a force of nature Uchis is. Billboard. Uchis' 36-degree view of love and versatile voice make Red Moon in Venus a wholly satisfying examination of emotionalism in its many forms: romantic, carnal, self-preserving. Rolling Stone. These were some of the headlines published by some of the best media outlets last year, referring to the third studio album by the Colombian-American Kali Uchis. Not even a year has passed, and the composer surprised with her fourth studio album, Orquídeas. And these are some of the headlines that the same media made 11 months later from his last release. The New York Times. On Orquídeas, Kali Uchis get what she wants. Complex. In Complex, I don't find that they wrote a new article about her new release, but they wrote a short article about her pregnancy. The last year, Complex wrote 2 articles about Red Moon in Venus. And Billboard wrote, Kali Uchis opens up about her pregnancy, and the new album Orquídeas. Rolling Stone, Kali Uchis blooms brighter than even on Orquídeas. The skilly voice singer finds new inspiration on her second Spanish language album. And another one's LA Times, a musical shapeshifter with universal ambitions. Kali Uchis aims to show what Latin music can be. The Guardian, Kali Uchis, Orquídea Review, Swaggering, Swirty Latinx Party. And Vulture, Kali Uchis had a vision. The industry didn't want the bilingual artist to sing in Spanish, but she did it anyway. In a Vulture interview on January 4th of this year, she told to the magazine, I open quotes, she was working on Orquídeas. At the same time, she was working on her album in 2023, Red Moon in Venus. So some of the songs that are from early 2021, she have so much to express when it comes not just the different language but also the genders. And she affirmed that, I open quotes, and this time literally, Red Moon in Venus was very down-tempo and soulful. Orquídeas is my own tempo album. It has a early yet still classic feminine luxury quality. Music can be one of the best ways to study and examine linguistic variety. Reading a thesis for a degree of Master of Arts in the teaching of Spanish in the Department of World Languages and Cultures from the University of Indiana titled El reggaetón como vehículo para la enseñanza de la variación lingüística en el aula de español L2, or in English, reggaeton as a vehicle for teaching linguistic variation in the L2 Spanish classroom. The degree thesis emphasizes how linguistic variety can help to learn of the Spanish to improve and enrich your knowledge of the language, while learning the language and culture through reggaeton or Latin trap. He also cites two authors of linguistic studies who comment that reggaeton calls attention to the centrality of Black culture and the migration of people and ideas in and outside of Puerto Rico, not as exotic addictions but as a constitutive elements. If Puerto Ricans and other Latin Americans have celebrated Spain as the mother homeland, reggaeton directs the gaze towards the African diasporas. As we mentioned in episode number 1 called Is Karol G redefining the concept of urban music? If you want to deep dive into about the urban gender, about its nuances. So I need to make a pause here. Nuances is the today's word. Nuances is the word of this week, of this Wednesday, because I don't know, when I was making this research, I found this new word, nonsense, and I was like, what is nonsense? I'm trying to learn to pronounce, and nonsense, it's a new word for me. Nonsense in English means variation, modulation, subtle distinction, difference. Y en español significa contraste, antítesis, diferencias, algo que crea matiz, sobre todo eso, algo que crea matiz, algo que crea, ¿sabes? Como que le aporta ese algo más a algo, que crea una capa más de color, ¿vale? So, después voy a explicaros por qué yo, una latina, os estoy hablando con acento español. Y bueno, ya vamos a ver por qué nonsense es una palabra tan importante en el episodio de hoy y por qué nonsense y el acento español me hace hablar más rápido. Vale, so, okay, nonsense means variation. Y en español significa contraste, antítesis, diferencia, como os decía. That was the learning word, nonsense. So, retaken, it means pros and cons, but about all, since the reggaeton or gender is transforming our generation, you can go to the YouTube channel and research. Karol G is redefining the urban gender. Search for it with the same name in the Spotify research engine. And we come back to this thesis for a degree from this university in Indiana. The author emphasized that there is no doubt that today more and more young Latinos are beginning to accept and love their African and Black ancestry. Reggaeton is one of the reasons that has helped them recognize it. Something that reggaeton also caused is this change from Black music to reggaeton, to Latin reggaeton. In this sense, Kali Uchis with this new Spanish album is helping our generation, Gen Z. Sometimes we seem to be confused by too much information, but that excess of information is helping us to have resources to understand our story and embrace it in such a beautiful way. Gen Z is so privileged with this information. The pride of the Latino identity is something that is exposed in most reggaeton songs. It is something that began to be seen with the song Oye mi canto from Nore that came out at the beginning of the 2006. The Latin reggaeton by Don Omar to late 2005 and the remix with Nore, Fat Joe and LDA the year after. They are songs that attempt to expose the gender to an audience beyond Puerto Rico, but at the same time show what it is to be Latino. In el reggaeton latino or Latin reggaeton, footage of iconic figures, artists and athletes in addition to the flags of the different countries in Latin America. In Oye mi canto, you can see women with skin brunette and white dancing under their flags of each Spanish-speaking country, something which corresponds of the letter. I love when this song, Oye mi canto, starts and say like this. If you're proud to be Latino right now, stand the fuck up, grab a cup, grab out, let's go. SBK, Alive, Nina Sky, and the video and the visuals of the video. That's also that energy. And the song letter says, Boricua, Morena, Dominicano, Colombiano, Boricua, Brown, Cuban, Mexican, and all the song. And also says, you see, this is the way they want. They want reggaeton. What? They want reggaeton. Eso es lo que quieren. Toma reggaeton. It's like, begin and feeling that huge image of identity. They are two songs of the several that show pride Latino. And I want to put this emphasis, and when we refer to Latino, I need to say that it's important when we speak in Spanish. Spanish has a super rich differences. Actually, after I started recording, I saw an interview from Pharrell Williams and Rosalia. I love the way Pharrell make emphasis on those differences in Spanish language because we have feminine and masculine. So, and Rosalia say to Pharrell, yeah, like guapa or guapo. When we call us Latina, I identify and as this paper, this science paper said that nosotros como latinos, yo como latina, como colombiana, muchas veces no nos sentimos orgullosos. We don't feel proud about us, about our roots. And even I am a brown girl, a brunette girl. Yo soy una morena. Sí, soy morena. Tengo ojos grandes, nariz chata, boca pequeña, cabello oscuro, negro azabache, y soy morena. And so many times in my house, my older brother say me like, haha, and he make laugh of me. I live a lot of time with this complex because and a lot of people feel awkward about my brown color. And it's hard, but I can handle it with help, with change of mindset, and I start to love myself, love my skin, love my roots, and more of that love me and all of this is first recognize it. And when I start to recognize that I was Latina, that I was brown, brunette, that my father is black, I understand because in my family, there are some vibes of it's sadly to say, but everything is about education. And when this happened, I talk from my experience, and sometimes I just quiet and get out of the room or something like that. But I don't, sabes, no me lo tomo tan a pecho, ¿no? Entonces ya lo veo de otra manera. Como ya lo he aceptado, entonces ya lo veo de otra manera, ya lo siento de otra manera, ya no me hiere, ya no hago como comentarios jocosos sobre tratar de defenderlo or something like that. It's more just like, if you have that thought, it's okay. I just in my own word. So this, and that is like, the kind of vibe that sometimes you need to pursue, que tú tienes que perseguir. So yeah, so these two lyricals teach me, the reggaeton also teach us to understand, and to understand the language is so variable in colors, in genders, in music, in videos. But we are talking right now about language. That language is so variable and manifests itself in variable ways. This principle assumes that speakers resort to different linguistic elements to express different contents, and at the same time that linguistic elements can be used different to say the same things. So it's different when you say something in Argentina or something in Mexico or something in Colombia, and making like a contrast about all of this, and for embrace this Orquídeas album and this episode that is a review. But first I want to concentrate on scientific papers, on theoric parts that are so important and that make more rich this conversation. And for me it's more meaningful, it's more values, because I feel that there is an intention, there is commitment, and there is conviction. And when we have all these three things, I need that. I learned that from some artists out there. When you speak with conviction and you made the things, in this case, this episode with commitment, and this intention is talk about orquídeas from a scientific, from a linguistic point of view. So, on an interview with Vulture, Kali Uchis said that when people think of a Latin artist, they think of one of particular sound, when actually it's so many gender that is a big part of what I want to showcase when I make an album in Spanish. And I think that the purpose of this episode is try to understand that there are countless nuances that Kali Uchis is working with on this album. So, well, without further ado, let's start deciphering orquídeas. Let's make a deep dive of orquídeas. Bueno, pues mi amor, vamos a hacer este review, reaction, porque no he escuchado el álbum todavía. Entonces, va a ser la primera vez que escuche el álbum, va a ser la primera vez que ya I know what is name of the songs names, but I just listen one. And y dejé lo demás para poder hacer la review y demás y poder como hacer una reaction, un action review. So, let's make this with mi amor y let's make this. Well, let's start. With the first song, ¿Cómo así? You know, but this song is right like kind of sexiness, and you know, it's like kind of feminine, and the rhythm of the song, it's more like, so like, you know, she's playing with her voice, she's playing with her laugh, and that make the song sound sexy, and then goes faster, and this song is open the song in English, y luego en español, ¿cómo así? ¿Cómo así? Es así. It's like, ¿cómo así? Es así. It is what it is, you know? It's like this. Like this is what it is. And she's late. Right? If you listen to the last episode, you know what I'm talking about. She's late. Y también los vibratos que hacen esta canción son muy bellos. She's using this reggaeton vibe, but more like pop, between pop and reggaeton, and yeah, this is the first song. And after, to continue, I would like to read all the titles of the song. There are 40 songs on total. The first song is ¿Cómo así? The second one, Me pongo loca. The third one, igual que un ángel. This song was a collab with Peso Pluma, and this album has 3 featurings or collabs, and the other collab is the song number 9, that is Tu corazón es mío, with El Alfa and JT, and the another one, it's the song number 10 titled Muñequita with Karol G, and the 11th one, No Hay Ley Parte 2 con Raúl Alejandro. And these three songs make us to get into a reflection about it, to make zoom to this picture and to this. Peso Pluma, Karol G, Raúl Alejandro. These three collabs has in common that this movement that has been present with Spanish and speaking artists, when they are ready to make big collabs, when the artist has a path taken to be the number one single that have achieved what other collaboration they have, the number of reproduction on platforms, and how much impact they have in their country or region. With this album, Kali Uchis is trying to get, ella está tratando de llegar, she is trying to get to arrive, and that the Mexican people listen to her, because Peso Pluma right now is a huge phenomenon on Mexico. With Karol G, she is making another collab with her. She loves to work with her. Both are Colombian. Both have been working a lot, and also with the last album from Karol G that she made a collab with Kali Uchis. That everything has a meaning and everything is connected, because in an interview that Kali Uchis made for Billboard, she said that she loves to work with Karol G, and she loves the way she works. And this make this collaboration with Karol G for her album Bichota Season was like, another these were another intention for drop out Orquídeas. And the another one, No Hay Ley Parte 2 con Raúl Alejandro, is she trying to get and to arrive to Puerto Rico. I mean, she is someone that is listed on Puerto Rico, on Mexico, and of course here in Colombia. But with this collapse, she is trying to arrive further, to achieve more listeners and that her community grow more. So this collapse represent also this linguistic variation in all the difference that exists between language and between countries. As I said, when you say a word in a country sounds different in another country, or it's a meaning word in another region of that country, and always is changing, and the Latin and the Spanish actually comes from half roots in Latin, and there are difference that exist between the phonetic, the sounds of the language, the morphology, the inflection, the composition, and with these songs, igual que un ángel, tu corazón es mío, muñequita y no hay ley parte 2. It's a reflection of how Kali Uchis is trying to show herself and to show all their nuances. She has a lot of nuances. She grew up in Colombia, then she moved to USA, and she's showing that in Colombia and in Latin America we don't listen just like a gender. We have a lot of gender from bottom to top on the map. So yeah, I need to say that I love how sound Peso Pluma on this song igual que un ángel. He sounds like an angel. He sounds so slowly, so R&B, and Kali Uchis tried to walk with him in another rhythm, and we can see and we can listen another Peso Pluma on this song. In No Hay Ley Parte 2, this song at the middle of the song sounds like a really hardcore reggaeton, you know? These tempos, these drums, those strong rhythm, and Raul Alejandro makes a really good work. I like how sound in this song, and also I like that part when she say no importa lo que digan, como que all I hear is la da di da da do, la da da di da do la hey. This is what I'm saying. These different ways to understand the language, and I love how she wrote this whole album, having this nuances between Spanish and English, and also we that are here, I that am in your ears, we need to feel like that nuances, and also that is important to feel and also to think with our rational brain, but that way to force our brain to learn and to understand in two different language is so rich and so nurture. And when we listen an album, a record like this, we are learning to our brain to understand in different language and make different sounds like la di da do di, la di da do do di da la hey, and that is like trying to exercise to make like a little exercise with your brain, and that help you to remind better that language and that kind of part of the word, that maybe if you learn that word in another context, maybe you will not catch it so well and your brain will not catch it so well, but when you learn with music in this way, and when you learn with reggaeton, there are kind of songs that are sound like sexual and this stuff, but going further, when we learn with reggaeton or with music in general, we learn through the reading, through the movements and the move, and that is the beautiful of learning with songs and learning another language with songs. This album was raw 50% Spanish, 50% English. For more than a decade, Kali Uchis has leading across the Latin soul music world in search of that elusive element of generational pop called timelineless. She grew up bumping between her hometown of Alexandria, Virginia, and her ancestral barrio in Pereira, in Colombia, absorbing diasporic sounds, the bolero pimping of trovadores y de trabadores. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, pumping of trovadores like La Lupe. She supple harmonies of Cuban doo-woppers like Los Zafiros and brush rap lighting bugs like Missy Elliott and Nerd. This song, I think that for making a compilation of this episode, this album teach us and let us a tool for understand about the difference between the phonetic, the sound of the language, the composition, the variation of words, the syntax, the order of words or phrases in a sentence, and the lexicon, the particular vocabulary of her country, that is Colombia, and his another country, that is USA. So Kali Uchis make this album in a such rich way, and she teach us about linguistic. We learn with Orquídeas album about how linguistic improve ourselves to go further and to learn different. Do you remember what Steve Jobs said? Think different. And Kali Uchis it's learn us and teach us to think different, to make it different. So I feel honored to be in Generation Z and honored to be Colombian and to have these reference that are teaching us that we can sing in whatever motherfucker you want. So for close this episode, we always have I'm not closing, yeah. I'm gonna go further, and I will to talk about how to make and how improve your English with, and I prepared this and I have it on my script and how to make, well, how to learn which songs, and in particularly with reggaeton songs, and how also children could learn with these songs. And the number one is understand that, and all these 4 points that, no, there are just 3 points that I want to make emphasis. These points are based on scientific data, also are verified by scientific tools, scientific statistics. So, well, the first one is music used for ambient effect during an activity. Could be creative writing. This increases imaginative capacity, resulting in a text that is richer in vocabulary and fantasy. So if you like to write, if you are a writer, or if you want to start to write, try to write with music on the background. Could be not reggaeton, but could be, I don't know, classic music or reggaeton music. Could be, that is the point, in a low tone. Also, music as an academic support tool is just as powerful than individualized support. The fundamental difference being the playful effect offered by music versus individualized support. Music is better than individualized. The second one, music has a powerful relationship with the ability to remember. Music provokes stronger emotions. When we are alone, and emotions are more powerful when they are positive than negative. And the third one, what we should be done for children learn with this kind of music is to guide young people so that they know how to interpret the lyrics of the songs in an appropriate and mature way, because if this is not done, it would give more elements to a teenager who is exploring not only his emotions but also his sexual aspect. So bring it to music in an appropriate way, please. And for closing, I want to explain what I feel and what I think that when I speak in Spanish by using españolete acento, yo siento que hablo mejor, me siento como más identificada, ¿sabes? Es que, bueno, desde pequeña voy a contar una pequeña historia en español acá, así rápido. Desde pequeña, muy pequeña, desde el colegio me han gustado mucho hacer acentos y soy muy buena haciendo acentos. O sea, mi sueño indeed es hacer doblajes para películas y hacer doblajes para películas de animación. O sea, yo te hablo lo que me pongas a hablar. Si queréis, no sé, o sea, whatever you want. So I feel that when I speak with this accent, with Hispanic accent, I feel that I can talk so quickly and my ideas and my brain and my tongue are connected. So when I feel anxious or when I feel, that I need to throw what I'm thinking, I speak in this accent. And I start to speaking y pues te digo todo lo que necesitas, ¿sabes? O sea, me lo digo a mí, me digo, tata, esto es así, Moni, and like this. And so it's a kind of learning, because when I'm studying for my university exams or when I'm studying for something, I made to try this exercise to speak in another accent. And it's like playing a role. And you're playing a role and you are learning in a creative way, and you're exploring what you can with your vocals and with your voice. And it's such beautiful and I love it. And I feel so embraced, Me siento abrazada, me siento querida, me siento cuidada, me siento mimada y sobre todo me siento comprometida y me siento como que puedo decirlo rápido, porque a veces en Colombia, pues no sé, a veces en Colombia hay como muchos tapujos para decir las cosas, ¿sabes? Y a veces y también hay como mucho complejo, ¿sabes? Pues siento que en Colombia uno ve muchos complejos de la gente y cuando uno es diferente a las personas porque a veces uno nota eso o ve personas diferentes o yo a veces me siento bien weird. Entonces, pues no sé, entonces la gente se burla y la gente, pero bueno, está viendo qué le está pasando y así. Pero pues, it's my like es algo personal, es un ritual personal que hago que os quiero compartir, que si quieres aprender algo, si estás estudiando algo de la universidad, si estás estudiando algo para el trabajo, si eres actor y estás estudiando un rol, hazlo así como muy enfocado en las características de tu personaje, en los rasgos de tu personaje, en volver de tu personaje y en cómo este roleplay enriquece muchísimo también cómo ves la vida mientras estás haciendo eso y entiendes que cada capítulo de la vida es eso, un capítulo, entonces intentas hacerlo diferente, intentas hacerlo con un tono diferente, pero también intentas hacerlo a tu ritmo, porque muchas veces tú sientes que vas muy rápido y las otras personas no tanto, ¿no? Pero también es hacerlo a tu ritmo, luego lo traduces al ritmo general para tratar de ir acople con lo demás y porque muchas veces, sí, o sea, la generación Z también es un poquito acelerada, tenemos que entenderlo, ¿no? Pero hace poquito mi editor me decía que debía tener más flexibilidad en cuanto a los tiempos y no ir tan rápido, ¿sabes? O no tanto no ir tan rápido, sino acoplarme a los ritmos de alguien que está trabajando conmigo, ¿sabes? Entonces también me decía, es cuestión de sacrificio, de flexibilidad y de mucho entrenamiento, ¿sabes? Para conseguir lo que quieres, to achieve what you want, to achieve your goals, haz esto. Y la verdad siento que escuchar eso de parte de mi editor me ha enriquecido un montón y pues bueno, ahí le sigo dando con los libros que se están escribiendo que espero pronto os pueda compartir. Bueno, estamos creciendo juntos, estamos pequeños todavía, pero bueno, vamos a ser grandes, vamos a ser bonitos, in a beautiful way. Y sobre todo eso, como la idea de mi editor me dice mucho eso de vuela alto. When he saw me that for first time, I said like, oh my god, we are connected. So and yeah, we need to fly so high and to have. I listened this morning and it's so true. The bigger the goal, the more you will achieve. So that is, the bigger the goal, the more you will achieve. We are finished and we always close with a question. And the episode question of this Wednesday is, are you ready to listen and learn about linguistic variations with reggaeton in a mature, non-sexualized way and focus on learning in a practical, dynamic, and creative way? Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy it. I invite you in a lovely way to give it thumbs up on YouTube, to share your thoughts in the comments, or provide any advice to help us to improve. Subscribe, that will greatly encourage me to continue building this project that is just beginning. I also invite you to listen us on Spotify and put us 5 stars. Remember, this episode, like others, was created with a lot of passion for the project and with so much love for the community. Every action you take will help you to change your life and also will help us to keep moving forward. Talk on Talk is proudly made in Colombia by a Morena. I am Moli, sending hugs.